Joey Logano just dominated the NASCAR race at North Wilkesboro. Is he actually maybe in contention for his 4th championship? It depends who you ask. Was the first points race at North Wilkesboro after 30 years actually worth it? Depends on who you ask. And was the risk for IndyCar to maybe get the World Cup lead-in on Fox worth getting rained out to a Monday? Depends on who you ask. We have a lot of questions to answer and discuss today on the Gay Racing Podcast. Hello. My name is Zack. Alex is gone once again. Honey, please come home. The kids miss you. He will be back next week at the Brickyard 400, the Brickyard 400 episode. We're not going to the Brickyard or anything, but he will be back to talk about the Brickyard 400 next week, which will be really, fun. It's the Brickyard 400. It'll be awesome. One more solo show to deal with me. You'll be okay, I promise. We're going to be doing a little bit of a shorter episode anyways, because this is a rehearsed episode. I already recorded the episode, but my microphone wasn't right. So that made me very happy, as you could imagine. And I'm just, I'm just going to do the episode again. It's great. It's fine, right? So we have a lot to talk about. Mostly with NASCAR at North Wilkesboro, Joey Logano ending kind of a winless streak, right? It's been since, I believe, Texas in the spring last year, unless I'm forgetting. No, yeah, Texas in the spring last year, unless I was forgetting something, but I don't think so. So broke a winless streak, and Logano's been under a lot of criticism from me and Alex this year. Just, to be fair, I think Ford's in a bit of a lame duck year. Right. We talked about Ford a little bit last week with Blaney winning. But Ford, they're putting a lot of effort into their Le Mans program. They're trying to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans next year with their brand new hypercars coming out soon. And also NASCAR, in NASCAR, they have a new body coming out. Ford does, the Dark Horse SC model, and it's not radically different, but it's going to be a different shape. And they're probably putting money engineering that to be optimal, especially with, how successful Toyota's been lately. So it's a bit of a lame duck year for Ford. So, Joey Logano winning this race, we're going to talk in a minute about, is he going for 4? Is he going to actually maybe go for a 4th championship here? Fair question to ask. I will say, I don't think it's that surprising that Joey Logano won this race. Alex called it out. He picked Joey Logano for fantasy. So congratulations, Alex, on the win in fantasy. But Joey also has a history of winning new events, of all shapes and sizes. The first Bristol Dirt Race, the LA Clash, the first LA Clash. Let's see. He won the first Gateway race, I believe. He won, what was it? He won one of the first North Wilkesboro night races, all-star races. I believe it was the second one, right? So he's got the 22 team has a history of just being the first to get it at these new tracks, these new events. And, North Wilkesboro, that 22 team has had an advantage at this track and in the all-star races, and whatever advantage they have is still clear. And I think that's kind of cool. I think it's cool to see that in racing. I know, like Ward Burton back in the day at Darlington, he was on a podcast a few weeks ago talking about this, but Ward Burton at Darlington was just a combination that was hard to beat, right? That's Joey Logano and North Wilkesboro, right? The 22 teams got it at this track. Penske's got it on the short tracks, and second straight week a Penske car has dominated a race, and it just kind of speaks to the success this organization couldn't have before we start the chase. The problem, there's good news and bad news though with the chase. The good news is there's going to be a reset, and that is the biggest thing that could help Joey Logano win this championship. Because yes, he's 300 something points behind Denny Hamlin as it is, and if the chase were to start today, he would still be about 90 something points behind Hamlin, right? And I think it might be still 100 as it is, but we've seen crazier things. Or have we? I'd hate to compare it to Tony Stewart in 2011. Tony Stewart barely makes the chase, by the way. And of course, it was the top 10 back then on points. Now it's the top 16. But Joey Logano is just barely in the cut line right now. And it's the same as Tony Stewart. He has the potential to do what Tony Stewart did, but on a much harder and grander scale, because also Logano is going to be starting farther back, most likely, than what Tony Stewart did with how the bonus points are. But man, it's the 22 team. And yes, it was the 3 playoff championships, but they've won 3 championships. They pull stuff out of their, they just pull wins out of nowhere. Kind of like tonight. They just showed up tonight with the fastest car, even though maybe we should have seen it coming. They got this win. And I think it's a little naive to say that, he can't win this championship. However, the bad news for Penske and the 22 team is half the races in the chase are, these intermediate tracks, and that's not really the strong suit of Penske, of Ford right now. And again, with Ford kind of being in this lame duck year in NASCAR, it's a little unrealistic to sit here and say that Joey Logano has a shot at his 4th title this year, but come on. It feels wrong to say that he won't. You know what I mean? Like, it says wrong to say that he doesn't have a shot, because he will have a shot. I think after tonight, he's 49 points above the cut line. He's going to make the chase, especially, again, the coming races with Iowa, New Hampshire, Richmond, and then, of course, we're going to end it at Daytona, where Penske, likes to control the race. They're going to get a lot of stage points. They're going to get a lot of points. The 22 team and the 2 team, for that matter, I think they're going to be in the chase, right? And Joey's responsibility, really, the 22 team, their responsibility for this next 5 weeks is how far up the point standings can they climb? Because right now they sit 15th. I believe the margins, like every position they get is going to be like, is it 5 points? I think it's like 5 points they gain in the seating. So it's going to be, every position they can get from now on is going to be really important. Because if the 22 team can somehow manage a top 10 regular season points finish, which I think is possible because of the coming schedule, I think another thing too with this chase, and we've seen this before, what are teams hiding? Have teams been experimenting all summer? That's a conversation more for later, but I love the 22 team. I love what they do to NASCAR, because I think Joey Logano just strikes fear into people. He's dangerous. He's dangerous because that 22 team has proven time and time again they can win on any day. They don't win a lot anymore, and I think that was what also made last night cool for me, seeing Joey get out of the car, and he knows, and I hate to say this because I watched Joey Logano's rookie year, right? And now he's like one of the oldest drivers left, but he knows he doesn't have that many wins left, right? He's getting old. His career's not going to last forever. The success isn't lasting forever. He's not winning as much as he used to, but this looked like prime Joey Logano, old school Joey Logano, which is a bit of a juxtaposition to say because he's Joey Logano, but he is one of the old guys now. And this looked like a classic Joey Logano short track ass kicking at North Wilkesboro. And North Wilkesboro was also kind of an old school race. And depending on who you ask, it was a good thing or it wasn't a good thing, right? I had fun watching the race last night. I'll get into that in a little bit, or right now actually, because night racing at a short track is awesome. It reminded me of Richmond. Alex texted me specifically saying it reminded him of old Richmond. I think it kind of reminds me of newer, modern Richmond, because it is, it legitimately is just kind of same kind of multi-lane type racing that Richmond had, especially late Gen 6. Not as tight as Martinsville, a little bit more spread out. But man, I think a longer race with a full field is exactly what this track needed, because I wasn't really impressed with the All-Star races, mostly because they were All-Star races. They weren't real races to me, because they weren't. They just weren't. But man, after watching last night, I feel like NASCAR at short tracks sometimes can rival what IMSA multi-class, the chaos of that, when they go to like Sebring and Road Atlanta. Like, it's just, I can imagine being at the track last night was really entertaining, because there's just constant action. Especially like stage 3 when Logano and Hamlin, they pitted. They were on a more normal kind of strategy, but then there were a lot of guys trying to get their laps back by staying out late. And then once they finally did pit, they were flying by the leaders with their fresher tires, like getting one of their laps back. And there was just cars everywhere, cars coming, cars going. It was really entertaining just to watch. It was kind of like Subway Surfers. Like, it was kind of junk food racing, like, because it's not, a lot of those passes aren't real, but it is a part of short track racing, is what makes short track oval racing especially kind of special. because, there is traffic that we had to watch Logano and Hamlin negotiate through. And I could feel them struggling. I could feel them struggling for rear grip. And, I've been there on iRacing, just what it's like to drive a stock car at a short track, lap after lap after lap. And for 450 laps, a lot of people were debating the race length. 450 laps is, for one, it's a weird number. Like, it's either 400 or 500. This is the first time I've ever seen a 450 mile anything, right? So, and traditionally, North Wilkesboro races have been 400 laps. I don't know if they made it 450 to make the stage lengths less awkward. Like, if they wanted to, because normally what they do at short tracks, stage one's like super short, but then stage two and stage three, they want pit stops. Maybe they needed like 50 more laps to make that work perfectly. But I think a 400 lap race is all we really need, especially on a Sunday night where we don't want to run late. Luckily, there weren't a lot of cautions last night either. So that helped make it, not feel, I didn't feel as long to me. I think it felt a little long to some people because it was kind of boring, right? And that's just the thing. I don't know if NASCAR fans really know what they want. But let's get into some Patreon comments, because we have some comments that didn't really like the race either. So Patreon member Jesse D said, the Cup race at North Wilkesboro was a bit odd. In my opinion, it's been a while since there's been a points race at that track, and I can see why. A couple of minor incidents and poor pit stops led to multiple drivers being laps down. Why is that? I know some folks say it's a throwback to the old school way of racing, but it wasn't fun to watch when most of the field is playing catch up and the same driver led for most of the race. So honestly, I feel like we haven't seen something like this happen at a short track in a long time. This problem is the worst on short tracks when, a caution comes out in the middle of a pit cycle, because since laps are completed quicker at a short track, it's, you're going to go 2 laps down if you pit before other people do. But normally what prevents this from happening is normally a caution comes out before we even get to the pit cycle, especially like traditional NASCAR. You would just, like, if you're running a race at Martinsville, you're going to run your fuel tank dry because, one, there's no stages to strategize around. You're just going to run it until you run it dry, right? You're not going to risk going 2 laps down just to maybe get a tire advantage, unless it's late in the race. It's like the last run or whatever. But with the next gen car, we don't really get a lot of natural cautions. So yeah, we're going to get some green flag pit stops. Plus this happened like in stage 2. They're strategizing. They know that they're going to have to pit sometime during stage 2. It's more optimal to pit in the middle of it. So that's what most teams did. But then Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick can't figure out how to get to pit road. So we get a caution. It sucks, but that's how racing is. NASCAR's, they had the wave around rule. They've had that since 2009. Which is an opportunity for everyone to get their laps back. The problem is we didn't get enough cautions after that. We didn't get enough cautions in stage 3 for drivers to actually take advantage of the wave around. Because not only do you need a caution to take the wave around, you need another caution to then pit, because you didn't get to pit when you took the wave around. So it's just kind of how short track racing is. I don't even know how many cars finished on the lead lap. It was not a lot, right? But Patreon member Dirt says, I'm seeing people complain about the Wilkesboro race, but I thought it was one of the best of the year. Do you think the domination and who was dominating cloud people's perception of the race? Because I saw all the hallmarks of a good short track racing, close quarters action, little bit of temper, and multiple grooves, except for aggressive tire wear, which was never going to happen on this recently repaved surface. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Logano effect is as strong as it used to be, because he really doesn't win that much. Plus, it's... I think that was kind of a feel-good one last night. But at the same time, it was a boring race and Joey Logano won. Yeah, that's going to make people not feel that good. But I will say, if Hamlin actually got up there and we had a really good battle, I think, we could be saying a different story. But, traditionally, like North Wilkesboro hasn't really been that much of a barn burner. I don't think it's been traditionally... And I say, I don't know, because they raced here before I was born. So it's like, it's hard for me to speak. Our Patreon member Finley commented, North Wilkesboro Speedway felt like a race from 1993. in a good way. I know the reaction online has been extremely mixed, but if you really like that old school style of NASCAR racing, this was outstanding. I'm not a fan of the stages, but they kind of did work here because otherwise that race was going to end with a 300 lap green flag run. I would not have had a problem with that, by the way, just saying. Anyways, Finley goes on to write, back in the day, the cars weren't as glued to the ground and they weren't largely bulletproof. So more natural cautions would have happened than they would today. I still think that race would have been better without stages. I agree. And they bring too many problems than they solve. But last night it made sense. Yeah, no, I'd rather just not have stages. 400 lap, no stages. I think that's just, you have so many different possibilities of what could be more interesting, I feel like, with any race, not just North Wilkesboro. But even the truck race was surprisingly clean. And I was ragging on the truck series last night. I think it's just something with this track, too. It's not as tight as Martinsville. The deceleration is not as aggressive and harsh. I feel like that it doesn't invite wrecks as much as you see as Martinsville, or it's not as hard to drive as maybe Bristol, right? Bristol's such high speed and mistakes can be amplified. North Wilkesboro is just, it's a short track, typical, right? And we did see some incidents, especially like early in the race. We saw Nemechek get around. We saw Josh Berry get involved in an incident. So we still, I think like it kind of goes back to Dirt's comment. Yeah, we saw a short track race. It just happened to be not a barn burner. Like, not every short track race can be 2014 Richmond, where it's like 4 cars are under a blanket battling for the win. Joey Logano won that race, by the way. Old school Logano, right? But I don't think we were too far away from that, right? Especially like, we're about to transition talking about the points. And I got to pull up the points graphic again because recording this for a second time. But, Ty Gibbs had a mistake tonight. He got a speeding penalty after stage 1. If he had better position, didn't get that penalty, maybe he's actually giving something for the 22. Blaney, I think legitimately might have had something for the 22, had a top 3, top 5 car. If he didn't have his penalties, maybe he had a speeding penalty. He also started in the back because they had to fix power steering. But, Blaney and Ty Gibbs kind of were the two guys who probably could have maybe brought something to the 22. Denny Hamlin was there to kind of pick up second place. And I love that moment with him and Logano after the race. It's kind of a circle back to their Martinsville moment, the short track racing thing. And I think, both Denny, I think, enjoyed the race. I think a lot of drivers enjoyed the race last night. I think it was really cool to see the sportsmanship. Logano did run a really good race. He got through traffic better than Hamlin. I think Hamlin was struggling with his car more than Logano. It wasn't just air. So that's why it's like, if Hamlin was if Hamlin was like knocking on Logano's door that whole run and couldn't pass him because of, next gen short track stuff, I think I would have been more frustrated with the race. But that was just an ass whooping by the 22 team. Like, I can't really sit here and be like, oh man, the next gen car caused this and the next gen car ruined this racing. Honestly, that was fine. It was fine. I think it could still be maybe better, but that's just, for a next gen short track race, that's pretty good. I feel like that's the best we're gonna get. It's just, it didn't have the drama, but you can't expect every race to have drama and fights. Maybe Hocevar behaved himself tonight too. That didn't help either. That's the second week in a row he's behaved himself. Anyways, finally have the points graphic pulled up. Let's take a look at the points and kind of go through it. Storylines. Denny Hamlin, 68-point lead now. He's, Reddick having problems with Bowman, and then Blaney kind of losing out on a top 3, top 5 finish. Blaney finished 11th, gives Denny a pretty good points lead heading into what's going to be a pretty big week for him going into Indy. But yeah, Reddick, that 45 team, they literally just need to like stand up. Because like they just need to stand up and stop like getting knocked out. Like they just need to put together races, and especially with the chase coming up, you don't want to enter the chase in this little like bad luck stretch that they've been on either. Blaney, that speeding penalty, it's a little unacceptable, especially when you actually do have a chance to win the regular season title. I think that speeding penalty might cost them, because again, the schedule sets up really good for Penske and Blaney to win the regular season championship. They can do it, but not with, a speeding penalty last night. Same for Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs has potential to compete for maybe third, maybe second in the standings, but not if he's going to have, stuff like that happen last night. Apparently Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson were in the race last night. Did not see them. So good for them. Real talk, Larson got involved with a incident on pit road with Zilish. Like whatever, like the Hendrick cars just weren't fast last night. It's not even that they weren't fast, they were just in the teens. I believe it was Chase was one of the ones that kind of got caught on the bad strategy. Larson didn't look fast after the contact with Zilish. William Byron is just doing his best impression of this. This is just them this year, even though he was the best finishing Hendrick car. That's just how they've been running this year. 12th, right? Let's see. Carson Hocevar behaved himself. Chase Briscoe had a solid night. He finished third, I believe. Yeah, Chase Briscoe finished third. Really good night. 8th in points. I wonder how far up Chase Briscoe can get, because he's one of the few guys who could match Hamlin in speed. He's in a JGR car. He should, right? Chris Buescher finished 20th. Kind of forgot he was in the race last night too. His teammates got top 10s, which is what they need. They're under the cut line. Christopher Bell 10th. He kind of murdered Josh Berry when he got loose. Took the 21 car out. Didn't see much of Bell rest of the race. He finished 19th. Suarez, quiet night. I don't think he didn't really. Yeah, he finished 9th, top 10. Got points in stage 2. Yeah, Suarez, good night. Byron, we talked about him. Bubba Wallace had a really good night. 4th in stage 2, 6th in. What's it called? 6th in the race. He's 13th in points. SVG. Dude, this SVG chase, realism, like it's actually going to happen. I think it's going to happen. He's got a 54-point buffer, I believe, on the cut line right now, right? This is looking pretty good for SVG, especially with, I heard last night he switched to right foot braking in the middle of the race, started using the clutch to shift like he does at the road courses. I mean, we have 3 more tracks where there's shifting before the chase starts. And I think we talk about Logano too, because Logano, SVG's 14th in points, Logano's 15th, Cindric is 16th, right? The really cool thing about these 3 guys, because right now you look at the bubble, Eric Jones is 33 points behind the cut line, and both RFK cars with Priest and Keselowski 48 and 58 points behind. It doesn't look that close right now because SVG and Logano had really good nights. The Brickyard 400 is next week, and that is going to be the weakest track for both Logano and SVG. If they cannot survive that and they come out with bad finishes, all of a sudden, I think the cut line is going to be so much closer. Because Eric Jones, the 43, I mean, we've saw them. They've had speed at the intermediates. Priest and Keselowski, RFK, are the fastest cars, or the fastest Fords at intermediates. So, if both Penske cars and SVG, and if they can survive Indy, I think they make the chase. I feel like you're looking at your chase as long as those guys have a clean race at Indy. I think you're looking at your chasers. I think this is the 16 guys. I don't think it's going to change from here, or this is what it's going to look like after Daytona, because it's going to be really hard. I think the most likely guy to drop out still, low key, is SVG. Maybe I'm putting way too much stock into the 2 team just because it's Penske tracks coming up, but I don't know. I think as long as the 97 team can keep it together, again, especially at Indianapolis, I think they'll be fine. So I think I'm ready to I'm ready. First of all, I'm ready to start the chase. I think I am ready to start the chase. I think I feel like the regular season, maybe the season just needs to be 5 weeks shorter, because I'm ready to start the chase right now, but I don't want to undersell the battle for the bubble that we're going to see in this next 5 weeks, because I think Indy, especially, there's going to be a lot of chaos in the next 5 weeks, especially with Indy, with Daytona, with really, anytime you bring NASCAR to any track, there's an opportunity for chaos. So we'll have to keep updating the points every week and taking a look at it. But yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. And honestly, it's kind of all I have to say about North Wilkesboro. I had a good time watching the race. Yeah, wasn't the most entertaining, wasn't the most barn burning, but it's a perfectly acceptable race. I think it's okay to have some old school races like this on the schedule. right? Certainly it's better than it being an all-star race, right? I'll take this race over the all-star race any day. So moving on to IndyCar at Nashville, which, just not a good weekend for IndyCar on many fronts. And I don't really know how to go about this. I don't want to get too rambly and too ADHD brained about this and mention everything that's just annoying me with IndyCar right now, but let's do our best. Let's go through the notes. So I'm starting with the World Cup lead-in because this was such a big deal to everybody in IndyCar. And when it was announced, I was kind of annoyed because I was like, Nashville is the season finale is perfect. It's back at Laguna Seca because you want Nashville to have this huge TV lead-in from the World Cup final. Look, I get it. But it's also like, whatever. I don't care. Like, I hate anytime I have an opinion on anything, someone's got to be in the comments like, well, TV wants this, and this is why it's happening because TV wants this, and TV. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what a multi-million corporation wants. Because I grew up watching NASCAR races on Saturday nights. And I loved it. Because, you know why? Because I love NASCAR. Oh, but that was NASCAR? No. I watched IndyCar races Saturday night too. Texas, specifically. I remember watching Saturday night races at Texas. Right? Like, yes, I get it's bad for TV and TV doesn't want to do it. And we had a lot of Saturday night races, but let's just like, and that's not even the point. Saturday night races aren't the point, right? I just, that's just something that I've been thinking about lately, right? And then it goes back to like now Sunday night races, which are, that's why I bring it up. Because it's like, these races, first of all, I don't want these races on Sunday night. I want them on Saturday night. Second of all, IndyCar, really there's no harm in doing this because who cares about the IndyCar season finale? Anyways, it is what it is. It's on Labor Day weekend. But it just annoys me because it makes IndyCar look desperate. And NASCAR, when they do this too, it just makes them look so desperate. I feel like the NFL, and of course they're the NFL, but I feel like other sports leagues don't do stuff like this. They just do their own thing and they improve directly. They don't they're not fishing for gold. This is what it feels like. It feels like they're fishing for gold. It feels like they're selling their souls just to try to get the average American to casually watch their sport, which, I don't know, motor racing is hard to get people into. It's not the most like attention getting sport out there. It kind of is. In person it is. Maybe on TV it's not. But anyways, Patreon member MJ Paxton says, trying to carry the World Cup audience into IndyCar was always going to be dicey. We turned off the broadcast when the president was walking out to get involved in the trophy ceremony, even though we turned it back on later. I think the lengthy, ambiguous delay while they tried to dry the track before it started pouring again would have quashed any potential newbies. Because even if the track wasn't like wet, aren't they going to still show a lot of like the post game and the trophy ceremony too? Anyways, like wasn't it still going to be like 20 minutes? Like, think about it. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I will say the World Cup felt like the summer Super Bowl. Like I think America and Fox and FIFA and whoever was involved, they did a good job making it feel like the summer Super Bowl. The halftime show was really fun to watch. And I had the game on. I wasn't really like intently watching it, but I had it on. I do have a question for everyone listening though. Because we watch NASCAR races and IndyCar races and other races and other sporting events even. Like there might be other sports you guys are into. Have you ever been hooked onto something because it came on after what you were actually watching? Genuinely. Because I asked myself this question and I'm like, maybe? Probably not. Because I got into IndyCar because Danica Patrick when I was 11. So no, not IndyCar. I don't think IndyCar ever had a NASCAR lead-in back then anyways. Like I've gotten into what I've gotten into not because of a TV lead-in. Especially this day and age, who even has cable for one? Like, yes, it's on Fox, so yeah, everyone has Fox, but who's actually keeping the TV on? Like I feel like this world's such a TikTok brained. Everyone's going to do like, I feel like as soon as that soccer game ends, people are already, they're going outside, they're doing something else. Like I don't know. Patreon member Josh, who was at the race at Nashville, says it was weird to be waiting on a soccer match to end so a race could start. I'm disappointed that IndyCar's rare opportunity to follow one of the most viewed sporting events of the year was unrealized. I was ultra curious to see how big the audience could have been. I'm also curious. I would have been curious to see what it would have looked like. But again, it's just like, I just sit here and I'm like, is it worth it? And there was a lot of drama today about the on-track stuff, not on-track, the at-track stuff, rather. And Will Buxton was arguing with fans on Twitter because they were giving out tickets for $10 today when, you know, people paid $100 for tickets and some of them had to leave and some of them had to travel. And then Will's just arguing and God, it's just not a good weekend for IndyCar. And it just annoys me, especially with the DC race coming up next month. I don't know. Like, how can you just leave this weekend feeling good as an IndyCar fan? It's hard. I think the series being desperate to grow it just turns me off. It just turns me off. Like the whole World Cup fiasco it wasn't even really a fiasco. Like, I'm being a little harsh, but I don't know. But was the race good? It was all right. It was fine. It was an oval race. It was pretty good. I will say we've had better oval races. I think we've had better Nashville races. Josh, who we just heard from, also commented, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel the short oval aerodynamic changes as well as the lesser power has hurt the product. I noticed it at Gateway as well, and it just seems like the lesser power has enhanced the effects of dirty air even worse, and as a result makes it harder to pass. Nevertheless, I had a lot of fun, and the racing product has proved to be better in the past. I hope the race can also return to the season finale someday when the package is good, as it is normally one of the best races of the year. Fully agree with that. I didn't like how Gateway qualifying looked. The cars looked they didn't look like how Indy cars normally look like at, you know, short tracks, short ovals. So yeah, not really a fan of the current package. No, it's not that I'm not a fan. It's just I feel like they fixed something that wasn't broken and now they have a problem. Maybe it's not even a problem. But normally, most cases, less horsepower, I don't think makes for better racing. I think it kind of takes tools away from the drivers, except one scenario that I will be talking about in Hot Topics, because NASCAR will be lowering horsepower for one of their tracks coming up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the race a little bit, and not really though, because this race annoyed the heck out of me because of the two cautions that came out during pit cycles. One was because Rossi and Dixon had a collision. It was really weird. Unfortunately, Fox could not figure out how to get the replay to show us, so don't have much to say to you about that because I didn't get to see the replay, and I'm not looking for it. Like, thanks, Fox. Like, I'm at that point with Fox. Like Townsend and James, they literally kept saying, well, if we can get that replay. Nope, you can't. Nope, because you work for Fox now, and we don't know what the hell we're doing. The camera angles kept changing for no reason. It's like Joseph was in a battle and somebody else was in a battle, and then the camera just cuts away from them, and I'm just like, thanks, I didn't want to see that anyways. Fine. But yeah, I'm kind of over talking about IndyCar. This was maybe it's also because I'm recording this for the second time. I don't really want to talk much about this race. Polo won. Yeah, Newgarden kind of couldn't get around the wall there, but no, it happens. Hot Topics. They have a smaller rear spoiler and 410 horsepower for Daytona. It's more in line to what they used to run before they added the giant ass spoilers in 2019. And then, of course, before I went to this next gen car. Now, stepping out of line won't be such a big drag penalty, and I think guys will actually be able to be more individual with their moves, kind of like what we see in the O'Reilly series. I think Daytona is going to be a really good race. I think it's going to be up there with how good the Atlanta races have been, because and you know what? I'm glad NASCAR finally realized, you know, what Atlanta looks like is what Daytona needs to look like, especially in February for our biggest race. I love how they're doing this now. I know it's the race before the chase, but they need to do this now, because I think if it's not enough or if it doesn't work, they have time to figure something else out for Daytona in February. And this could also greatly impact and help Talladega too. What is stupid is that they're not giving them practice, but I guess they just want somebody to miss the setup and wreck the field in stage one. So that's like that, because that's what's going to happen. especially if handling. It's hard to say if handling is going to be that much worse, because it should be, though. They're going to have, the cars are going to be. I don't know. The thing is, though, and this is the hard part about the next gen card. They don't make a lot of their downforce from the spoiler. The spoiler is definitely a big part of it, but they make a lot of their downforce from the underbody, and a lot of the drag from just the general body shape as well. It's very wide, so I don't really know. It's why I kind of wish they had practice, but we'll definitely find out in the race. So it is what it is. Fantasy for North Wilkesboro. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I didn't even. Oh, I'm glad I'm re-recording the episode, because I didn't even do the fantasy segment right, because I didn't even say who we were picking. I didn't even fix that. Anyways, Alex picked Joey Logano at North Wilkesboro, and he now has a 3-point lead. We have sent in our picks. I'm picking first since I'm not in the points lead. For the Brickyard 400, I'm picking Denny Hamlin. I think he's finally going to do it. I think it will be cool. I think it will be emotional. I think we're going to see some flashbacks to Kyle Busch's Brickyard wins this week and stuff. Alex thinks Chase Briscoe is going to win the Brickyard 400, which, that would be a really huge deal, because Chase Briscoe is from Indiana. That would be awesome. That would be a really good story as well. So, yeah, I picked Denny Hamlin. Alex picks Chase Briscoe, and Briscoe definitely has all the opportunity in the world to do it with the JGR car. How they've been lately on all the tracks, but especially the intermediates and the speedways. So Brickyard 400, it's going to be a really good race, and I love this race. Traditionally, this race has been kind of the it feels like this is where all of the teams kind of show up with their. We haven't had like a normal kind of intermediate race in a while. I know we just had Chicagoland, but it's been the schedule's been weird, but I feel like the schedule is going to kind of normalize the next few weeks. And, the Brickyard 400 traditionally has been, what have you been working on lately? Show up with your best car. And that's kind of like what the Coke 600 was, right? Like, show up with your best car, show up with what you've got. This is the Brickyard 400. It's a big deal. We're going to see these teams, go all out for this race to win this race, especially Denny Hamlin. 2 things he's never done: won the championship, of course, but the Brickyard 400 is the last big race he has never won, and it would be cool to see him get it, because we know he doesn't have that many Brickyard 400 left. But yeah, Alex will be back next Sunday night to record the episode with me to talk about the Brickyard 400. If you are a Patreon member, guess what? You will get that episode on Sunday night as well. So definitely definitely subscribe if you want to check that out early. $5 a month Patreon members get the bonus episodes early. $2 a month Patreon members can help us out on the episodes by adding comments, and you will get featured on the show. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave 5 stars on all podcast platforms. Follow us on all socials at Gay Racing Pod, at New Gaiden, and at Dreamy Zack Racing. And me and Alex will see you back here next week here on the Gay Racing Podcast. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.